Hello, everyone. I hope you're watching this today in good health. I'm Krissy Gibson, and I am the founder of Take the Cake, a bakery based in Malhutter's Space Enterprise Center. I'd like to thank BASE for allowing me to share my experience today. I hope that some of it might be useful. A lot of us have had to adapt very quickly to the unknown. A pandemic is a first for all of us, and none of us have known exactly what to expect, and we really can't know exactly what to expect at, say, this time next year. So there can be a lot of fear of the unknown. This has been a challenging time for so many, including ourselves. And as a business owner, I am constantly mindful of the need to stay flexible and patient wherever I can, and to embrace any changes that I may need to make in business. And also, I'm finding that it serves me well to embrace my strengths during this time. It sounds very simple, but to play to my strengths. There's so little we have control over right now. And so I've approached the challenges of 2020 by looking at what I can control, what already exists in my business that I can build up more, what strengths does Take the Cake have going for it that we can strengthen even more. My business has grown substantially since the first lockdown, and I attribute that not to revolutionary new practices, but rather to getting back to the basics and by thinking as a consumer. Also, now more than ever, this is a mental game. I have continually had to recommit to focusing on the good, focusing on those strengths in order to not get bogged down by all the hurdles there are to overcome. So I focus on the things that I can control, and I focus on my strengths. My biggest strength is I love dessert. I've always been completely obsessed. It's one of my favorite things ever. And I don't mind admitting that my love for baking was, in fact, my single qualification for starting Take the Cake. So I constantly nurture that love, my love for baking. But monetarily speaking, we literally started with no money, literally none. And we've only been in business for coming up on 4 years now. So doing the maths, it's easy to figure out that capital resources are, to this day, our biggest challenge. What we don't have in fancy equipment, large staff, or large distribution capacity, we have to make up for in playing to our strengths, the things that we do have going for us. And we also have to make up for the things we don't have with hard work. So I have had to remain willing, and I have had to remain teachable. I don't consider myself an expert by any means. I try to stay teachable. This helps me to stay right-sized, and it leaves room for growth. Lots of room. And it's worth noting that I've learned not to compare Take the Cake's progress to other businesses, especially food businesses and more specifically other bakeries. And this is easier said than done. I realized in my first couple of years of business that I cannot set the bar, my bar, based upon the pace of another business. I let my business dictate itself and establish benchmarks from within it. This is something to which I have to regularly recommit for my own mental health. It's a great focusing tool for me. I try to take an internal mental approach to competition and setting goals, and I consider myself to be in competition with myself, essentially. I practice keeping a healthy degree of tunnel vision where I can, and that helps me to stay on target. When I look at where other businesses are, it throws me off. I either feel inferior or superior, and neither of those positions serve me or my business. So I play to my strengths. It's fair to say I have a lot of energy. I always have had, and I've needed a lot of energy because I work extremely long hours. This strength has come in handy during this pandemic because I have a staff of 6, including myself. And in addition to updating and upgrading our health and safety policies and procedures, I thought it might be a good idea to stagger our hours where possible. That is something I can do. That is something I have control of. So my alarm goes off at 12:30, just after midnight, and I get to the bakery every morning at 1 a.m. I work until I'm done, and I try to finish up in time for the next shift to start. We started weekend production with one staff member for the same reason, so we're not all packed into the bakery at the same time. Social distancing isn't easy in a small workspace, as you know, but this new rotation, while it might not be convenient or easy, it has helped to keep us all safe and healthy, and thereby has helped us to stay open. It's not a long-term plan, but it's what has worked since March. And it's also about finding a system that is sustainable so we can play the long game. We want to stay in business so that 10 years from now, we're looking back and remembering how 2020 taught us flexibility and resilience. And at the beginning of the first lockdown, we thought we'd be okay because we had some of our products in stores, and we knew stores were going to stay open. We were prepared to try and get into more stores to ensure sales stayed up, but we found that our online service was more profitable and gave us more face time with our end customer. I found I preferred direct sales to wholesale. So that's what we promote the most. That's the relationship that we nurture the most. 2020 has also taught me to get back to the basics in a huge way. I am someone who loves baking. That's who I am. I love my desserts. Okay, so what's in it for the consumer? A bit of joy during lockdown. I believe that. A loving gift sent by a customer to someone they can't be with. I can channel my passion for good food and let it bridge a gap between people in Ireland. And I feel good about that. I found that we were able to tap into something very personal and very rich after lockdown happened. We didn't plan it either, it just happened. I started offering personal notes with deliveries because I could, not because it would make me a few extra bob. I don't charge a few extra bob. I do it because I can. And here's probably my most valuable and back to basics takeaway since COVID-19 has forced me to reshape my business. Good customer service is something I have control of. I'm a consumer myself, and I know how it makes me feel when I'm just an invoice number to another business. When the service I'm seeking doesn't actually connect with me. When that happens, I don't use that service again. I don't recommend it to people. But what I do remember when I receive good customer service is the way that made me feel. And I'm in a unique position. We all are, any of us who are in a position to give any type of customer service, to make each and every one of my customers feel important. They remember that. I may not have control over a lot of things right now, but I do have control over the way Take the Cake engages with its customers. Back to the basics, not revolutionary, not even creative. just unfortunately easily and too often forgotten. If there's one thing that I will take away from the last 9 months is that good customer service goes a long way. And where I might be lacking in state of the art technology and deep pockets, I make up for in customer engagement. I've been told this on many occasions, and it's something that I allow myself to feel good about. I play to my strengths. It's worth noting that I only noticed customer reviews starting on Google and Yelp when lockdown hit. Reviews, I didn't really have any. I had Facebook reviews, but I hadn't branched out of there yet, or customers hadn't started reviewing me anywhere else yet. My reviews on Google and Yelp that started coming in strengthened my belief that time spent focusing on customer engagement and personalizing our service will never be time wasted. Our Google reviews have directed first-time customers to us. Our first-time customers have become repeat customers. Word of mouth has become our biggest, best, and least expensive form of advertising. Speaking of online, thank God we already had a website before coronavirus, and we had also launched an online shop. Sales greatly increased overnight. I know businesses who had to build online shops just because of COVID-19. That is innovative. That's the definition of flexibility. You go where the consumer needs you. Everything has moved online. So we started getting these orders in that were all scheduled for delivery at the same time, only wanted one little 4-pack of cupcakes delivered to Claire, needed 8 o'clock Sunday morning delivery, wanted delivery the next day, wanted delivery the same day. I mean, we really had some growing pains at the beginning. We have had to continually tweak our website and our online shop because we have grown very familiar now with our limitations and with the type of service that we can actually sustain. It has to be sustainable. It has to make sense. Otherwise, we'll collapse. My husband, Kevin, does all our deliveries, and this period of growth has led to some pretty interesting discussions. So we've structured our online shop in a way that provides boundaries with regards to counties we can reasonably deliver to. We created a minimum order amount to be eligible for delivery. We set limits on time slots and days available and made it impossible to order last minute. Those were killing me. As a result, I have found I have, for the most part, kept my sanity and my marriage is still intact. These online changes, they fit our business better, and we're able to cope better. It'll be different for everyone, every business, but determining limitations is crucial, and upholding them is too. There have been a couple of other things that I have done more of in the last year because I can. There are things that are within my control. I have been more generous. If I have an extra something, or if I have extras of something, I'll put it in with a delivery, or I'll do an online promotion or a giveaway. It's a great way to increase social media traffic and to generate buzz and to make friends. Not to mention, it's a great way to earn new customers. Something else I allow myself, I have done away with any hesitation for self-promotion. I'm sitting off to the side of my logo here. That's not an accident. And I don't mean myself, I mean take the cake. Life's too short to worry about whether or not I'm being shameless in my self-promotion. I am being shameless. I'm 50 years old. I don't have time to worry about that. I promote take the cake every chance I get. In fact, have you checked out our online shop yet? Takethecake.ie. But an example of my willingness for self-promotion, willingness without fear, is on Ireland AM. I've done that cooking segment on their show for the last 2.5 years. And it took me a while to warm up. But now, whenever I get the chance, I mention specific desserts on my menu because I can. I mention our delivery service. After lockdown, one of the show's hosts asked me how business has been, and I detailed how people are being so thoughtful and sending each other cakes for occasions they're missing and sending notes to each other through Take the Cake, which was initially actually not my idea. That was actually the idea of one of my customers, and I just ran with it. So after mentioning that on that show that day, that next week was one of the busiest we have ever seen. So no matter where I am or what I'm doing, I'll find a way to promote some aspect of my business, whether I'm a customer in another store, talking with a neighbor, doing the show, or working a stall in a market. Even in giving donations or working with charities is promotion. So I don't close the door on those opportunities either, because every open door is a chance to grow my business. I often find myself thinking about what's next. I forget to enjoy where I am now, and none of us really know what's next with this pandemic. So I try to sit back and observe where I am right now and where I've come from. I always try to stay in touch with those things. It's very basic, but it's very important in my opinion. I try not to get ahead of myself too much, and I try to enjoy every step of the growth, especially the messy parts, because I've learned so much from the messy parts. But as soon as the joy is out of it, I know that something is off. And this is a mental game. What goes on up here is what dictates everything else. So I do what I need to do in order to keep the fear from creeping in. Fear does not serve me. And there has been a lot of fear of the unknown. When I'm feeling inadequate, I know that it's coming from a place of fear. That's all, which in fairness is understandable. Business takes risk, and risk is scary. A little bit of fear is healthy. It means that you're awake and that you care about the decisions you're making. But someone once told me that fear simply means false evidence appearing real. A negative belief that creeps in when I'm tired or stressed. It's not the truth. It doesn't serve me, and it doesn't serve my business. I'll end on this. In my experience, starting a business is a lot like sailing out to sea. And being a few years into your business is like being out in the middle of it with no land in sight. You've got to have provisions, a clear course, and stamina when you set off. Take the Cake is still out there in the middle of it. We haven't quite hit land yet, but I know we will. And here's something I love to share whenever I get the chance, kind of like my logo. One of my all-time favorite quotes came from a man called Andre Gide, a Nobel Prize-winning author. He said, "One does not discover new lands without consenting to lose sight of the shore for a very long time." So that's where we are. I still find my work extremely gratifying, and I want to feel gratified. Enjoy the journey. Even if this time in our history is irregular, more than anything, it's a barometer for how resilient we can be, how high we're willing to hold the bar for ourselves, and getting back to basics, remembering that the people we're serving are looking for a personal experience. They don't just want my service. There are probably lots of services like mine out there. People could go anywhere, but they want my service. I try to remember that and to be grateful that they chose Take the Cake. I try to remember the qualities which earned people's trust in me in the first place and nurture those qualities so I can keep their trust. Well, I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season, and I'm wishing you a truly blessed, healthy, safe, and prosperous New Year.